Let's talk to Tom Hunt, Conservative MP for Ipswich, to get his view. Tom, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning, Mike.
This appears now to be such a massive problem and such a massive business that I'm not sure anything other than really, really drastic measures are going to work, are they?
I sympathise with that view. I was obviously very pleased to support the bill that I supported yesterday and spoke in favour of. And I think that will help a lot, actually, that bill being approved. But yeah, in the short term, I do think everything should be on the table. All options should be on the table.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Because it would appear, Priti Patel's appearing before a select committee this morning at Home Affairs, and she hasn't been able to give them a number of how many of the arrivals this year have been sent back. I think the problem with that is that probably none of them have.
Well, I think this bill, which we supported yesterday, will help us send the vast majority of them back, or potentially even stop them from stepping foot on our shores in the first place. But I can well understand how people are as frustrated as they are, and the fact that we're going to have to wait for this bill to have its third reading, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's going to be some time until we can really see the benefits of that bill. Yeah. And ahead of us, we've got a summer warm weather where we could have many hundreds, thousands of more of these illegal crossings. So I am in favour of the government take a very, very robust approach this summer. And as I say, all options should be on the table. What we are seeing is lawlessness. We did have a majority of people in this country voted to take back control of our borders, and then they flick on the TV and they see this. It's infuriating.
Well, it's a free for all now, isn't it, Tom? The problem, it seems to me, is that because it's such a big business now, it's basically organised crime, organised human trafficking, almost as though they were smuggling drugs, but instead of drugs, it's people.
Well, these are people who've shunned the law of this country. They've decided to break our immigration law. Many of it's sort of 80% of them, I think, are sort of young men. And for every single economic migrant we have who comes here illegally and stays here, it also actually limits our capacity to show compassion towards the most genuine of refugees who are actually fleeing war zones as opposed to France. We saw yesterday. I was amazed, really. I thought maybe the Labour Party might be an outbreak of common sense, and the Labour Party might support the bill yesterday, but they actually voted against it. And in fact, Labour speaker after Labour speaker essentially accused anyone who supports this bill of being racist.
Well, that's the only language they know now, isn't it?
Well, it's the only language they know, and I think that. I was he was criticising the Labour shadow minister was criticising a minister, saying that this two-tier approach is wrong, and treating those who are sort of trying to get here legally and coming illegally as refugee shouldn't be treated differently than those who are coming here illegally and largely potentially not refugees. And we also had Yvette Cooper do an urgent question not long ago on Napier Barracks, saying that accommodation that is good for British soldiers is somehow. Essentially, the Labour Party approach is to open borders. Anyone can come in. Once you're in, you're in. And actually, they want to put them up in hotels as well. They want to put them up in hotels. So, that is the Labour Party position. But, it's no good us just bashing Labour on this. We have to deliver. And in my speech yesterday, I said, look, this bill is very welcome. I know that both Priti and also Chris Philp have worked incredibly hard on it. And we could all feel good yesterday, in a sense, because we knew we were speaking on the side of the majority of the public. Yes. But if instead of 6 months' time down the road, we're still dealing with this issue and it still hasn't been addressed, that's not going to feel very good. So,
well, that is the problem, isn't it? Because that has been the case all the way through pretty much Priti Patel's reign as Home Secretary, because every time she's made a statement that it's going to get better and it's going to change, it never really does. And it's kind of ironic that the unveiling of the bill was in the same week where you basically crossed the number from last year, and already 8,000 people have come. And it's also the Tory party that's putting them up in hotels. So the Labour Party might want to, but you guys are actually doing it.
Well, that's pretty much stopped now. They're being put up in. They're not going in. They are the vast majority of them are going in places like Napier Barracks, but I'm pro this idea of an offshore, processing their claims offshore, because ultimately, at the moment the message seems to be once you're in, you're in. Yeah. It's worth the risk. It's worth the risk. It's worth paying these people smugglers. But we've got to. I mean, I know whenever I sort of go on my Facebook page, and which is largely my constituents who sort of follow me, and I post something about illegal immigration, pretty much the responses I'm getting is, look, we're sick of talk. We're sick of talk. We want action. I mean, I think in Parliament, I've been one of the most probably vocal Conservative MPs on this issue. And as I say, I mean, I just, some people say, well, why don't you just go in, intercept the boats in the Channel and just take them back to France? I guess the question I'd like to ask is, well, actually, what would happen if we did that? What international law would it be? Would it infringe? And what would the consequence be? But actually, if I think, the British people saw us, taking the bull by the horns and having that kind of approach, enough is enough, this must stop now, I actually think that the government would find a huge amount of the public behind them. The British public are, they are the vast majority of Britons abhor racism. They want us to show compassion to genuine refugees, but what they do not want is this lawlessness. What they do not want are those people breaking the law. I mean, if you're somebody who's going to come here illegally from another safe European country and you're prepared to break the law to do that, are you the sort of individual we want in this country anyway?
Right. Well, that's the other. I mean, there are two problems really, aren't there? Because one, at the moment, for example, if I was to go to France to go and visit somebody, I would have to come back to this country and quarantine for 14 days because those are now the new rules as per the Grant Shapps announcement last week. However, what I don't know is whether any of these people are quarantining for 14 days. I don't know who they are. I suspect many people who are checking them in don't know who they are because they've probably got rid of their papers. We don't know whether they're coming here for a nefarious purpose or whether they're genuinely coming here to try and make a better life for themselves. There's just not enough knowledge that the populace has.
If they want to come here to make a better life for themselves, then they should apply for legal immigration status. They should go through the same process that millions of others have gone through. And we can make a determination. Our government, our elected government, can make a determination about whether that individual is the sort of individual we'd like in this country, whether they can bring something to the table in terms of their skills, in terms of their ability to integrate and contribute. We can make that determination. At the moment, you've basically got people smugglers making that determination, and it's based on your ability to pay them and to come across. So.
But also, I think also, Tom, a lot of it is based upon a kind of a bill of sale, if you like, whereby if they haven't got the money, they promise to pay the money later. So they then sort of find themselves working in a black market. They find themselves working in sort of, criminal enterprises in order to repay the people traffickers that have got them here in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just brings all sorts of different negatives. So, but what we are doing, what we have had is, and I think it is right that this is quite a difficult issue to sort out. The legal system, the legal establishment is absolutely against what we're doing. We're looking to do here as a government, and Priti Patel and Chris Philp have worked particularly hard to get us to this stage. So, and I've spoken to Chris Philp in particular about this on multiple occasions, and I know how passionate he is about sorting this out. And I think if anyone's going to sort it out, it's going to be that duo. They're going to sort it out, but we need to sort it. And it is slightly frustrating, isn't it, about the situation about I understand we have to cooperate with the French, but is it surprising that the French haven't been massively cooperative when it comes to addressing this issue? I mean, when have the French ever been particularly cooperative on anything?
Well, it's worse than that, isn't it? Because these are the same people who escort some of these boats into English waters and then leave them there.
Well, I mean, we left the European Union. One of the main reasons why people voted to leave the European Union was so we could take back control of our borders. Not we can take back control of our borders if the French decide to play ball this week or that week. Yeah. And that does seem a little bit like what's happening at the moment. So I'm not surprised the French haven't delivered on this for us. We need to take control of the situation for ourselves, both through this bill, but also in the short term, being open-minded about the different techniques that we may want to employ to prevent what is happening, because it's as I say, it's lawlessness. The people who are coming over are lawbreakers. They have shunned the law of the land, and essentially, I mean, if you break a law, if you knowingly break a law, does that make you a criminal?
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Well, they've knowingly broken the immigration law. Does that make them a criminal?
I would have thought so.
Well, there we go.
I mean, that doesn't seem difficult to me, that one.
There we go. So, we get all these howls of outrage from the left and from the Labour Party. And I think, when the Labour Party point at us and say, you're racist because, you want a rules-based immigration system. You're racist because you don't want to turn a blind eye to lawlessness. They're not just pointing their finger at us as Conservative MPs. They are pointing their finger at millions of ex-Labour voters up and down the country. That is what they're doing. That is what they're doing. The Labour Party, increasingly, they're a party of open borders, they're a party of lawlessness, they're a party of, well, the list goes on, doesn't it, really? But I mean, I don't think that Keir Starmer's learned anything.
No.
I don't think the Labour Party have learned anything. But as I say, I'm not in politics to just endlessly take a pop at the Labour Party. I want us to deliver. In Ipswich, we're a port town. This matters greatly to many of my constituents. I'm contacted. I mean, there's lots of Conservative voters who are, they're at the point where their frustration is absolutely. And there's so much that we haven't been able to do over the last year, and we've all had to, play by rules. And you see this degree of lawlessness on the English Channel needs to be stopped.
It does, absolutely right, Tom. Well, we will put our trust in you to stop it, but let's make something happen before the end of this year, because otherwise people are not going to be happy at all. Tom Hunt MP for Ipswich up there in the Tory party, talking about how yes, it is time that something was done, because this is a ridiculous situation. People are literally walking into this country who are not entitled to be here. They're breaking the law in order to be here. They're paying money to people who break the law on a regular basis, who are running an organised criminal enterprise called human trafficking. And it has to stop. It's quite simple.